But the fact that the ratings from Caitlin Clark's series to these series fell off a cliff, it should surprise no one.
I'm watching the Indiana Fever game. I'm just waiting on Caitlin Clark to catch the basketball.
AJA Wilson has gone crazy over the lack of viewership since Caitlin Clark's exit from the playoffs.
I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try to be the best. I get y'all saying best player in the world. That's great. It looks great. But I want to be the best person. I want to be the best teammate.
She went for an interview and said this year is more than I've ever seen anyone call my game boring. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. AJA Wilson has gone crazy over the lack of viewership since Caitlin Clark's exit from the playoffs. Wilson would rather play with more freedom, with fans not bothering too much about the sport, and that's exactly what she got when the Fever were eliminated. Nobody was interested in the playoffs anymore.
Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. Game 1 of the Aces Liberty matchup on Sunday drew an average of 929,000 viewers. Was down nearly 50% from last Sunday's Fever Sun contest. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well.
Caitlin Clark's effect has led to game after game of viewership dropping while she sat at home watching everything unfold. I think she'll be laughing at this mess. They could have had the highest viewed playoff final, but no.
All I gotta say is she's lucky this UConn team isn't healthy. And that's a true statement.
That's wrong, Molly.
Monica?
That's wrong, Molly. Molly,
like
it's
five
excuses.
top players,
It's
am I
excuses,
right?
Molly. It's
Major injury.
You would not be saying that if it wasn't UConn.
Major stars not playing.
Listen,
Excuse me, go.
It's her against Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A.
Ain't no excuses.
Stephen
You
A.
got there.
Wait a
No,
minute.
want to hear that now.
Stephen A.
Let me tell you, if
Paige
Georgetown get
Beckers-
back in the mix, I'm going to be insufferable. I'm just telling you that now.
What?
If Paige Beckers didn't basically miss 2 seasons, I don't know if we'd be talking
Come
about
on now.
Caitlin Clark the way we are now.
Now we get to see a New York versus Minnesota Lynx final. I can't even name one player on either of those teams. The final is set to have the worst viewership out of every playoff game so far. How does the WNBA even let this happen?
There's a reason 12 million people are watching ESPN
Yeah.
for a game. If that game was on CBS, they probably would have had 25, 30 million people watching that game.
The WNBA is lost without Caitlin Clark, and it's very clear to see. They really tried to deny the Caitlin effect and said it wasn't a thing. Now, they're realizing it with every moment that goes by. Without Caitlin, the WNBA has become unwatchable once again.
It looks like we're not going to be seeing Caitlin Clark play basketball again for another 200 days. An ESPN reporter said at the end of the Indiana Fever Connecticut Sun Game 2 that Caitlin Clark almost definitely will not be playing basketball this offseason. So no overseas and no 3-on-3 unrivaled league.
AJA Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces have been a dominant force throughout the WNBA season. The team entered the playoffs as one of the top contenders, and with AJA at the helm, many expected the Aces to make it to the finals. However, the semi-final matchup against the New York Liberty did not go as planned. The Liberty, led by their own stars, delivered a strong performance and knocked out the Aces, sending shockwaves through the WNBA community. The elimination of Las Vegas not only ended the team's championship aspirations but also removed one of the league's biggest stars from the spotlight, contributing to the overall decline in playoff excitement.
Caitlin Clark's the most valuable, most important person in the WNBA this year, and should have been unanimous Rookie of the Year.
The unanimous MVP title typically comes with expectations. Fans and analysts alike expect the MVP to lead their team deep into the playoffs, potentially all the way to a championship.
Being disrespectful, but they talked a lot of trash and they got humbled. And I think that that's okay. That is sports. That is what we live for in sports.
Caitlin Clark is a player who commands attention. Her style of play is captivating, and her ability to take control of a game makes her one of the most exciting athletes to watch in the WNBA. However, when the Indiana Fever, led by Clark, were eliminated from the playoffs by the Connecticut Sun, the postseason lost a significant amount of its appeal. The excitement that usually comes with WNBA playoff games seemed to vanish. Without Clark, the games felt less intense, less thrilling, and frankly, less enjoyable for many fans.
And to act like there isn't or hasn't been legitimate resentment emanating from those who are pioneers. Nobody's fooled here. You got pundits who used to play in the WNBA, some of them who didn't, and who were speaking on behalf of those who didn't want to create that kind of noise themselves because of the negative impact. We talk about it when the men do it. If we detect jealousy, if we detect envy, if we detect resentment, and it's amongst the fellas, we put it out there. Shit, we act like it's the latest episode of General Hospital. But when the ladies are feeling that way about another young lady like Caitlin Clark, and people like myself and Shay Shay call it out, suddenly it's a problem.
The absence of Caitlin Clark from the playoffs is more than just the loss of one player. It's the loss of an entire experience. Clark brings a unique blend of skill and charisma that draws in viewers, whether they're die-hard basketball fans or casual watchers. When she was eliminated, that magic disappeared. What was left was a playoffs that felt flat and unexciting. For the WNBA, this was a significant blow. The playoffs are supposed to be the pinnacle of the season, the time when the best players shine and fans are glued to their screens. Without Clark, they turned into what many described as a misery and a mess.
Ever since, Angel Reese had that injury, to me, and also coming off of Olympic break, Caitlin Clark separated herself. Yeah. She should have been unanimous. Now, to celebrate her, one thing that people forget is as a rookie, she was the most blitzed player in the WNBA, and she still put up 19, 5, and 8 assists.
After Caitlin Clark's exit, the WNBA experienced one of the most significant drops in viewership in its history. Fans who had been following the playoffs with enthusiasm suddenly lost interest. The numbers don't lie. Once Clark was out, viewership began to plummet. The decline wasn't gradual, it was sharp and immediate, reflecting just how much of a draw Clark is for the league. The WNBA, like any professional sports league, relies heavily on viewership for success. Television ratings are crucial for securing sponsorships, advertising deals, and broadcasting rights. When viewership drops, so do the league's opportunities to grow and expand its audience. The sudden decline following Clark's elimination is a clear indicator of just how important she is to the league's success. For many fans, the excitement of the playoffs was directly tied to Clark's performances. Her ability to dominate a game and make incredible plays was the reason people tuned in. Once she was out, the game simply didn't have the same appeal. This decline cannot be overstated. The WNBA had been enjoying a steady rise in popularity, but without Caitlin Clark, the league saw a massive drop that could have long-term consequences if they don't find ways to engage fans without relying solely on their biggest stars.
Pretty impressive for Caitlin to win Rookie of the Year in a dominant fashion when it is going to be one of the great rookie classes in the history of the league.
When she was eliminated, that draw disappeared. Fans who had been tuning in to watch Clark's playoff journey suddenly had no reason to continue. Other players, while talented, simply didn't have the same star power to keep viewers engaged. The WNBA thrives on its stars, and Caitlin Clark is one of the biggest. Without her, the playoffs lost a huge portion of their audience.
Hats off to the Fever on a great season. I don't think anybody expected them to make the playoffs after starting 1-8. They had a tremendous second half of the season. That Olympic break was much needed. But Caitlin Clark, she just completely changed around the WNBA culture, and she completely changed around the Indiana Fever's culture for the future. And the future is bright for the Indiana Fever. And I'm so happy that Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA light, and fans get to actually watch her and see what she.
Clark is already the face of the league. Her ability to draw in viewers is unmatched, and she's become the central figure in the WNBA's growth. When people think of the WNBA, Caitlin Clark is often the first name that comes to mind, and for good reason. Her deep three-pointers, flashy assists, and fearless drives to the basket make her must-watch entertainment. The moment Indiana was eliminated by Connecticut, the WNBA experienced one of the steepest declines in viewership in its history. Up until that point, the playoffs had been drawing solid numbers. But after Clark's exit, ratings fell rapidly. Fans weren't just losing a team, they were losing the chance to watch the biggest attraction of the season.
Basketball has really consumed my life for a year, so I feel like it'll be good for me to kind of reflect back on everything that's happened. I feel like I didn't even have time to really reflect on my college career because it ended so fast. I feel like taking some time to myself and really enjoying that and reflecting back.
The drop after that game was unprecedented. The WNBA had been enjoying its best ratings, but once Clark was gone, numbers nosedived. Fans simply weren't as interested in the remaining games. This was a clear indication of how much the league relies on star power. With Clark and AJA Wilson both eliminated, the WNBA lost nearly half its audience.
From being one of the most loved teams in the WNBA to being riddled with so much drama this season. A'ja Wilson was under fire last week for the privileged comment that she made to Kelsey Plum. And Coach Becky Hammon was under fire for basically saying that her team was too busy being celebrities and they were distracted and that's why they're not winning games. The list goes on and on. If you're this Aces team, you really need to regroup and maybe make some tough decisions about the future of this team.
The WNBA Finals are supposed to be the most anticipated games of the year. Instead, this year's final is shaping up to be one of the least watched in league history. Without stars like Caitlin Clark, fans just aren't excited. The league was hoping for a blockbuster showdown, but instead, the finals will likely post record low viewership. What should have been a thrilling conclusion has become a quiet affair. For the WNBA, this is a major problem.
You guys were right. That's what we're saying. You
no,
were right.
Molly, you did not say that, Molly. No,
saying
no,
it.
That is
no.
what you said.
You
That's
did not.
what you
That's
said.
not what you said, Molly.
What are you guys
That is not what you.
Caitlin Clark has done more for the WNBA in her short time than many players have done in their entire careers. She has transformed the league, bringing in new fans, increasing media attention, and energizing women's basketball like no other. Her impact is massive, both on and off the court. But despite that, she hasn't always been treated fairly. Fans have been harsh, and referees have made questionable calls that hurt her performances. For a player who has done so much for the league, it's disappointing. The WNBA needs to recognize her value and treat her with the respect she deserves. 16. Although Caitlin Clark is out of the playoffs now, fans are already eagerly anticipating her return next season. The excitement is building, and the WNBA knows that when she's back, viewership will rise again. Her return will be one of the most anticipated events in league history. Fans can't wait to see her leading her team and making incredible plays once more. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.